Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kyrus Has Friends, the show where I sit down with the people that matter the most to me, and those people are my friends. Before we get started, if you are interested in learning more about me and my guests in my life, please be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter at The Vibe with Kai. You can also follow me on TikTok and on Snapchat at Kyrus Keenan, where I'm always doing something weird, because that's how I roll. You can also visit my website at thevibewithkai.com, where I'm always posting stuff that'll make you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes. And then you can also get your Vibe with Kai gear, your Vibe with Kai t-shirts and hats and all of that stuff. Go visit thevibewithkai.com and you'll get all of that stuff. But enough about me. Enough about me and my adventures. I think it's time to shift focus to my TikTok friend, somebody that I've wanted to talk to for quite some time, and now here we are. Here she is, gracing me with her presence. Faith McAngus. Hi.
Hi, Kai.
How are you?
I am very well.
Good.
I'm as excited to see you without watching your videos and commenting or bantering back and forth
Right.
in somebody's live, you know?
Right. It's funny because that's the one thing about TikTok is that there's no technically direct interaction.
Yeah.
And we've known each other for what, like a month, 2 months now, right?
Way
Because we're
longer,
part
man.
of
You have
I don't know, it
way
hasn't
lost
been
your
though.
perspective
Here's
on
the thing.
time. I'm a little concerned. It's been 4 months.
It's been 4 months, but I don't think this time is going by very slowly. I feel like time is definitely a construct at this point because like people are like, "Oh, I feel like I've known you forever," but like technically, I've only known you for like a day.
Do you have more respect for reality TV shows now?
Oh my
Or
gosh.
do you know how many times I've thought, how many times have you looked at somebody and said, that's not real? And then somebody says, you don't know what it's like to spend blah, blah, blah amount of time. And you can form these relationships and these bonds. And people don't get it because physical proximity is what we have centered
Yes.
friendships around. Who do you
Yes.
work with? Who do you go to school with? Who did you grow up with? Who was
Hmm.
your neighbor? Who did your friends introduce you to? Like
Yes.
all the ways that you could meet people. And
Yes.
then, and even through Instagram, Facebook, oh my gosh, MySpace back in the day, right? When
I
you
remember MySpace very well. Tom
I
was
can
my number one
remember
friend.
Tom was everybody's number one friend. What happened to Tom? That should be a TikTok.
I'll tell you, I know what happened to Tom. Tom retired because he got the money and he sold it and he retired.
Good
And
for Tom.
he's just stayed out of the limelight. And that's a
Everybody's number
genius
one
move.
friend, and that's what he's going to continue. He
Yes.
will. Good for him. Way
Yes.
to go out on a high note, right?
I know. But it's you bring up a very good point because like some of the people that I've spent the most time with during this quarantine have been my TikTok friends. And there are people. There's one person in particular for me. My person, Katie, who lives in Colorado. We met via TikTok.
Are you serious?
Yes, we had never met before. We met via TikTok, and then I had her come on this show. We sat and we talked. I know. We sat and we talked. I interviewed her, blah, blah, blah. And then it just kind of went from there, right? And then I flew out to Colorado to meet her in person. But when I flew out to Colorado to meet Katie,
That
I
was
had,
the
ne-
first
I had
time you
never
met
met her
her.
before in my life. Never met her before in my life. We met on TikTok.
Okay, so let me just say, as a person that had no idea that,
Yeah.
you would really, but it makes all the sense in the world because, like, there's so many of y'all, you know?
Yes.
Like, I guess my person is Joe, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
He's my brother.
Yeah.
Like, you're Jonathan. I'm Jordan.
Jonathan, I still have stuff written on my, but this from last night. It doesn't come off easily.
That's a
So.
Sharpie, guys. He has washed his hands. Okay, but like his mom adopted me. I
Yeah.
mean, so how much of my story do you know?
I don't know much, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, and just so people know, what is your TikTok screen name?
It's so easy.
Yes.
Gotta have faith. MC.
Yes.
So
And
my
we're
maiden
gonna
name,
put that in here. It's either gonna be up there or down there.
my
That
maiden name
people
was
can.
an MC name, and
Yeah.
then I married an MC. So Scottish. I was a Scot. I married a Scot.
Oh, that's perfect.
So, and when I taught high school, you can imagine with a name like McAngus what
Oh no.
kids would say. So I taught
Oh,
high school for 3 years, and I just walked in right off the bat, and I was like, "Do not call me McAnus. Like whatever it is that you're gonna think of, I've already got it. I'm Miss Mac. Period. End of story. I used to be a Mac. I am a Mac. People have called me
Right.
Mac my whole life. Mac. That's it. I'm Miss Mac. And I still actually got added to an alumni group for the school that I taught at
Yeah.
because when my mom got killed. I left. I have a master's degree in education, a history degree, and
Yeah.
secondary education certification, and I will not eat these words. I will never walk back into a school system again as a teacher. I will never.
Really.
No. But
Well, I feel like I don't know why, Faith. I feel like teachers are treated so well in the United States. Teachers are overpaid.
why would you not
They
want to just line up to do
I
that?
if there's that's one thing I'll never understand, why teachers don't get the respect that they like deserve. I'll
Educate
never
every
understand that.
profession that creates anything, and then look at them and be like, "You're not worth it."
Right.
And
Like
now,
with
and then
the
the pandemic happens, and people are like, "Where are the teachers?" And they're like,
right,
"Uh-huh.
right.
How you
And
like it now?"
and usually the first thing that's cut is funding for teachers to be able to uh, teach these students. I spent more time with my teachers than my own family, growing up. And teachers have such a major impact on people's lives. But like, I just don't understand. Like, where would you be without a teacher? Everybody in this country has a teacher. So why are we not treating them the same way that we treat like
Should that be
service
the
people?
glorified profession?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I'll never I can go on for days about that.
You
Well,
need to get Yvette on here and talk about
I
that.
know. I had a vet on here. I had a vet on here, and we talked about it, and it just blows my mind. And when a vet came on, at that point, it was still very early in the quarantine process. So there was I called Yvette my day one because like she was the person that introduced me to Joe, and she's the one that kind of like initially guided me, saying, "Hey, you should start posting
Gatekeeper,
about
man.
this." Blah. Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
the gatekeeper.
She is, and it's because of her that like I went from, I think by the time that she met me, I was at maybe like 1,000 followers, and now I'm about to cross 50, and she's been there the whole time,
What has
since like day
happened?
one. I don't know, it's
I
crazy.
don't. I mean, my niece has been checking. I'm getting text messages right now from people
Yeah,
in the Attain gang, which is hilarious. But like, my niece calls me. I don't. I'm at 65.6.
that's exciting. That's exciting. But like, here's the thing though. I need to because, and I told you this when I was on your live the other day when we got to sit and talk for a little bit, which was our first time
My
ever talking.
favorite. Can I just tell you how incredibly excited I was to be able to talk to you, and to be able to talk to you right after I got off the phone with Joe was hilarious.
Yeah,
It was like John and Joy and Joe and the whole family
the
just
whole gang. It
ready to
was so much
go.
fun. But let me tell you. So like, there's a reason that you have grown so much on TikTok. You do some really interesting things. So before we get into the interesting things that you're doing, you call yourself the CEO of the KJP.
Right.
Explain what that means to the people that don't know.
I got named that. So Joe came up with this hashtag KJB kindness just because, which is like we're trying to create the new cliche for pay it forward, basically.
Yes.
Like the goal is that this is the new cliche, right?
Right.
So kindness just because. And as I started to think about it in the very beginning, because I'm a stage 10 empath, stage 10 HSP, highly sensitive person.
Yes.
And that is a very small percentage of the population. So my husband calls it a maze of circular logic. Sometimes he looks at me and he's like, does it hurt to just be you? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's exhausting, but it's awesome,
Right.
So the opposite in my mind of kindness just because is indifference just because.
Okay.
And to be indifferent It doesn't work for me. Like, I'm a very spiritual person, and immediately in my mind, it goes to this passage in the Bible where God says, don't be lukewarm, be hot or be cold, right? You're going to be hot or you're going to be cold, but don't be lukewarm. Don't be half hot and half cold.
Right.
Yeah. Or he actually says he'll spew you out of his mouth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, get real. He's like, just straight up, I'm going to spew you out of his mouth. And so I have been cold because my heart was broken. And when I was cold, I think when I didn't know what I had to give, I didn't give it. Which is interesting. Joe and Courtney have had that conversation. Like, check yourself emotionally, and if what you got inside is going to go out and be toxic, stay at home.
Right.
Get yourself together before you go out there throwing that stuff into other people. It's going to feed fire that doesn't need
listen,
to be
like that, and that's one thing I'll never understand, especially on TikTok, because there's so many people that just spread so much negativity, and I'll just never understand it. Like,
I don't know how they go to sleep at night.
I like, why? Well, like, maybe it's me, you know, but I can't, if I see something I don't like on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, I just keep going. Like, I just keep going.
I don't want to entertain it with more of my energy. Why do I want to keep looking up stuff I don't like?
Like, and like, I just don't, and what people also don't realize, especially on TikTok, is that TikTok, when you interact with a post on TikTok, TikTok doesn't know, unless you say, I don't like this post, if they see you interacting with it, they're going to assume that you want to see more of that.
Yay. They think you're going, yay.
Right. They just see you commenting or whatever you're doing. TikTok's just going to assume, like, oh, they're interacting with this post, so let me put more posts out there like that from people that are similar to this. And now my For You page on TikTok it doesn't have much negativity at all. None.
That's why people that tell me it's actually been a fun moment with a few people that are like, well, all I see is blah, blah. And I'm like, well, that's when my mom would look at you and say, well, that's between you and the Lord, because what are you looking at? Because it's only showing you what you want to see.
It's called the For You page.
It is built for people. Don't understand the algorithm. I'm like, every time you watch it all the way through, it goes, yay. If you watch it more than one time, it's like, woo! It sends you more of those people. If you if you don't like it, if you hold that button down, better yet, hold it down. You click that not interested button.
Exactly. I do that all the time.
Less of that.
Absolutely.
I don't want to see the negativity. And I'll be honest, I've had to learn to develop. I spent an hour in therapy this morning, and part of it was talking about the thick skin I'm having to develop, because it feels like the more good I put out there, the more people have tried to come at me. And initially I felt the need to defend myself.
Right.
And then it hit me. No. I can't
Your actions do it for you.
I hold down that button and I press block, because I'm certain I don't want to see anything else from you. And then I press delete the comment.
Right.
Because I don't want anybody on my page to read your comment.
Right.
Because this is my page.
Yeah.
And it's about kindness and love and anything, anything that even engages anything other than that, or encourages somebody else to get. I don't even want somebody to have to defend me and get upset about it and go, but because then they have to exert emotional energy towards an idiot, a keyboard warrior with no profile picture and no videos every single time. So if I can't tell who you are, and I will click on it, and if somebody says something that I question, I'll click on their page. If there's any video, I will watch 1, 2, or 3 to give myself some discernment,
some context,
about what I feel like that person is about. And if I feel like it could have been a joke, then I will respond and give them the opportunity to, like somebody did it the other day. They made it, Anthony, the Amazon guy, and I. If I had $1 for every time somebody made an inappropriate insinuation on our relationship, I'd have a lot of dollars. I've even made a video. My husband even made a video addressing it. I made a video with me, Anthony, and my husband where they hugged, and then people were like, put on a mask. And I'm like, Oh dear
Well,
God.
that's the one thing, and this is the one thing that I personally tell people, not just on TikTok but in life, right? Is that because I work in marketing, and I talk with my clients a lot about, you know, how people respond to certain things online, right? And I tell them, I'm like, look, you could put up a video of a bunch of adorable puppies saving kittens from going over a waterfall, and in the meantime, as they're doing that, curing cancer and COVID-19 and solving racism, right? It could be the most beautiful video in the world, and then somebody will
Jesus
just be
holding them in
like,
his
but
hands.
those puppies weren't adopted correctly. Like, well, so like that's why I tell people you can't give them the time of day, because once you reply, you give them credence, you give them
Fuel.
this credit
It's fuel
that
for the fire.
right. And here's the hard part, and I know you feel this way too. It's easier said than done to not want to reply, right? Because like there's a lot of times I'll see stuff and I want to be like,
You're like,
yeah, but then I remember I'm like, okay, I have to just like,
the flowers.
right,
Well,
exactly. And so I wanted to talk, you kind of alluded to this just now, but like, so for those of you that don't know, one of the things that Faith does on her TikTok is just, I mean, she's always spreading good vibes, positive energy, as I'm sure you're aware already. One of the things that she does is you gather tips, you know, for to give to service workers and people that are working their butts off during quarantine. People you know, donate money, and then you take that money and then you give that as a tip to, you know, to people, you know, that just unsuspecting people, right? That's just like, hey, here's $300, thank you for, you know, doing you. On top of that, you obviously you mentioned this before, you've befriended your Amazon delivery person, who's a beautiful man, good person, very kind, very funny, and it's a very interesting, like, just good vibes, positive energy kind of stuff.
you would think so, right?
Right. And so you talked a little bit about the feedback that you're getting from these radical bunch of people that just always will find something. How do you, when you see stuff like that, when you see that, like, the good that you're doing, and people, so, and this is not everybody, it's just like it's a small group of people, sometimes it's just one or two people that can just ruin it for everybody, but how do you, when you see that, obviously we know what you do in regards to deleting the comment, blah blah blah, but emotionally, how do you go about dealing with that? Because you can delete the comment, obviously, but like that's still ingrained in your brain. So how do you go about handling that?
So it's interesting you asked that question, because it is one of the conversations that I actually had this morning with my therapist, because I am a spiritual person. I love Jesus.
Yeah.
He's my man, right? My ultimate man. And I've been honestly to hell and back in my human life. And if I didn't, in those moments, I have sat down, taken off my shoes, stood in the grass so I could ground myself.
Right.
And I have prayed for the wisdom to handle it appropriately, and for the confidence to not let, I believe sincerely, because my mission is to throw out as many snowballs of kindness as I can and never know where they end up. I don't need to know. I don't want to know. I don't need to know. I mean, sure, I want to know. Wouldn't it be cool to know? But not because it was me. I just want to know that something good happened. I don't ever have to know that it had anything to do with the snowball that I threw at somebody, that they threw at somebody, that threw at somebody, that threw at somebody, that I hope ends up in the hands of the person who cures cancer, right? But it's hard to be constantly putting your energy out there in a way to bring people up, to bring what you feel like is value based on your experiences and what you've been through, and just trying to communicate to other people that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to know that you will be, and to want to be, and believe you can. So when you fight as hard as I have to get to that place, and then you come on an app like this, which was a joke.
Same.
My niece, they begged me because I was making funny Snapchat videos. I'll send you some of them with the big mouth face.
Yeah.
And I was posting them on Facebook. And for my Facebook page, they were getting like 500 views, which on Facebook, for your friends, you know, whatever. And so my niece was like, Aunt Faith, you've got to get on TikTok. You're going to be TikTok famous. I was like, I'm not getting on TikTok. TikTok is for kids. And she was like, you're wrong. She totally called me out. I was like, fine. So here I go. March 27th, I got on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, and here we are. It all just blew up.
It's changed our lives, Faith.
It
has changed our lives.
Changed my life.
Yeah.
You know who has kept me alive besides my God, right? You know who has been more intentional in loving me than anyone? It has been y'all. You know, when I say that y'all are my family, it is truth. And I believe that I saw something about the opposite of fitting in is belonging.
Yeah.
You don't want to fit in.
Right.
You're putting yourself, you got to fit in and you got to like turn and move and hold on to me. No, I don't want to fit in. I want to belong.
Yes.
And everywhere I've gone, people have tried to put me in a box my whole life. Right. I don't fit in any of the boxes. I need some kind of bag where I can just get in and it molds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I feel like for the first time ever, there was a box shaped like me that a bunch of other people were also fitting in. And it was like, oh my gosh, look, it's my people. Like,
right. And that's the beautiful thing. You know? That's what I love about TikTok is that unlike Instagram and Facebook and all that, where you pretty much have to be following somebody in order to kind of discover them in a way, or somebody will have to like share a post of yours, or you're going to have to do like extra work on TikTok. For those of you that are unfamiliar, your stuff can just show up to random people that aren't necessarily following you. And so people end up following you that enjoy the things that you put up. And that's fascinating.
So fascinating.
It's fascinating because you find all of these people that you're like, I really like this person.
Really like them. I feel like I've known them my whole. I bet you that we could sit here and talk for an insane amount of hours.
Absolutely. And what people don't realize, and like I said before, because you were surprised I had never met Katie. People watching this right now may be sitting here, out of context. They may be thinking that we met before. I've never met you before.
Forever. No, we've never seen each other. This is the first time we've ever like FaceTime. You've been on my lives. And we've talked. But
yeah, and what's funny is that like I do feel like I've known you though. Right?
If I were to see you in real life, I would flip. I think about what's going to happen when all of us see each other, and I'm like, it's going to have to be an outdoor venue. Otherwise, the ceiling's going to pop off.
No, like legit. When this is all said and done and the world's not on fire anymore, we're going to have. I know we're gonna have like a big meetup or whatever.
People that aren't on TikTok are just like, wait a minute, what did she do, y'all? That was TikTok specific. If you don't know what pew pew pew
pew pew pew,
that's TikTok. I'm sorry. Get with the program.
I do stuff like that at work all the time. My work friends are like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Pew pew pew."
Pew. It's a chopper.
It's so fun, and I honestly cannot wait for that day, because like even when I met Katie in person, like we just immediately just gave each other like the biggest hug.
It had to have been so emotional.
I had, and like once again, and on the flight there, I was like, this is insane. This is insane if you really think about it. You meet somebody on an app and you're like, okay, I'm going to fly out west in the middle of a pandemic to meet somebody that technically you've met, but not really. And like, this could go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
This could go horribly wrong. But everything, like we met, and it was as if it felt like I had not seen her in like a year or something. That's what it felt like. Like it's like I knew her a while ago, but I had
grew
not
up
seen
with that you can talk to, and you just pick up right where you left off.
Right, right. And
Yeah,
it
you've known her your whole life.
it was just really nice. And I know that's going to be the same thing when I meet you and when I meet other people. And like this whole app is fascinating. And one of the other things I want to talk to you about, and you talked about this as well, is that you are obviously you're a woman of faith. How has your faith guided you
Pun
during
intended.
during this pandemic? Because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are scared, that are unsure. Like the uncertainty, it like bothers a lot of people, including myself, probably even including you. That we don't like what we don't understand. We're scared. There's anger. There's fear. There's fear mongering. There's so much going on in the world right now, and it's so easy to just be like, I give up. I don't know what else to do.
I quit. I give up.
Right.
So, oh look, I'm gonna sing to you, Kai. Role reversal.
I like it. I'm a fan. So how has faith played a role in your life navigating through everything that's just going on right now?
So I guess that's the perfect lead into my actual story, right?
Yeah.
So obviously my name is Faith. My wow, this is as close to putting my story out there as I've ever gone, for the record. My dream one day is to write a book, but I've often said, it's my story has to do with other people, and I'm so incredibly respectful of other people that I'm always cautious to share the parts that weren't my decision making. Do you know what I mean? That affected me. This is my dad. I would say it to him, and he has no internet, so it's irrelevant. So, my dad was an alcoholic. He cheated on my mom repetitively. He did not know Jesus, and he was not a good dad and husband. And he had one of those profound, crazy salvation experiences where he like walked into the church and had a fifth of liquor in his car on the way to a poker game. And my sister and my brother and my mama had begged him to go to church with him, and he walks in and was like, I'll come, but I don't want to be here, and I'm about to leave. And halfway through the church service, while they were singing Love Lifted Me, he said he clearly felt God say to him, this is it. This is it. You got right now, and you've got to do something. And in the middle of the song service, he went to the altar and gave his life to God. And that is why I'm alive. My mom and dad my mom desperately wanted a child that didn't grow up the way my brother and sister did, where she didn't have to say, oh, your daddy already left for work, because he never came home. There was never alcohol in my home. I never heard my parents use profanity. I grew up in a very independent, fundamental Christian home. But my faith, even though that was my name, right? I'm the redemption child. That was the joke. I didn't have it for myself. It was something I knew, and they say teach your children the ways of the Lord, and they won't depart from it, right? Get it in there in them, and they'll come back, right? And it was in me. I knew that. And I had accepted Jesus at 15. But as far as like having a relationship with him where I knew him and he knew me, and it was anything more than some glorified genie, right? That I just threw myself up to every now and then. I was like, hey, I'm having a big hard time. You want to help me? Nah, you're good. Oh, okay, I'm good. I'm gone. Like most kids are. So fast forward, got married, moved to Columbia, South Carolina. I'm from southeastern North Carolina. I grew up in a town called Whiteville. I went to school in Wilmington at UNC Wilmington. Got my history degree, secondary education certification, master's degree, taught high school for 3 years at school in Columbia. And my mom got really sick with pneumonia, almost died in March of 2009. She didn't, but it was that shakeable moment.
Sure.
And then it was my anniversary, and I was supposed to stay with her. I wanted to stay at the hospital. And she said, y'all go home. And she laughed. And she said, just go home and make me a baby and laugh.
Yeah.
I conceived my daughter on my anniversary that year. And when I was 36 weeks, 5 days pregnant with her, my mom was coming to see me. I had a doctor's appointment the next morning. I didn't know, but she was bringing my childhood cradle that I had had as a baby. It was like a real baby doll cradle that my parents had got me as a kid, and she had had it like fixed and secured, and she was bringing it to me for my daughter. And she never made it here. She never showed up. She got killed in a car accident on the way to my house. And I was 22 days away from giving birth to my first child. And my mom was dead. And when I tell you I broke, I was broken. My husband found Jesus as a result of all of this about 5 years ago. And I heard him give his testimony one day when our church was volunteering at a local park where it was our week to feed the homeless, and our Sunday school class was doing it. And it was his job to give his testimony. And I'd never heard him audibly give his testimony. And in the middle of it, he told the story of the night my mom died. And he said, we looked for her, we couldn't find her, and she died that night. And then he said, and I watched my wife die too. And I can remember watching him say that and thinking, oh my goodness, he's right. On the inside, I died. And I didn't know who to give to the world. And people kept coming at me and wanting me to be okay and wanting me to be okay. I never knew I was in trauma. I was diagnosed 3 years ago with complex or complicated post-traumatic stress disorder, and I was a poster child. By the time I finally made it to the psychiatrist and to the psychotherapist who was a trauma specialist, they looked at me and were like, my first memory is my dad having a massive heart attack, and he was 37 years old and I was 3, from Agent Orange in Vietnam. And my whole life I was afraid he was going to die. There was a massive amount of death in my life as a child. I was a child of trauma. Death followed me, and I felt very afraid of it. And then it all exploded in the ultimate disaster. How was I supposed to become a mother while simultaneously losing mine? It's that song, that CCR song. Have you ever seen the rain coming down on a sunny day? Like, that's how I felt. It was like, oh, I can see the sun shining and this is supposed to be the greatest moment of my life, but it's not. I am in so much pain, and all the joy was just taken. And I believed for a long time that joy was not for me. In my mind, I was resolved to the fact that for the rest of my life, I would be crazy. I would be sad. I would be broken. But I would have to hide it. I would have to protect everyone else from the fact that I would never be okay. And I would never feel joy. And I believed it for 7 years, maybe 8. At about year 7, I think I started to pull out of it. When one person looked at me in my Sunday school class, and in fact, God sent her to check on me this morning as I was crying and praying. I looked up and my husband was like, Alicia's on the phone. And I said, yeah, God sent her to me again because he loves me. But she walked right up to me and she said, have you been through something really traumatic? I know that we don't know each other, but I don't think you're depressed. And I think you're in trauma. Are you afraid? And I was like, what's trauma? I didn't know. And she sat down and talked to me. That's what led me to the trauma specialist, which led me to a very intense therapy called EMDR, eye movement reprocessing desensitization, where you walk inside of your brain and clear your neural pathways. And what they said to me was, because I was pregnant and everything's misfiring anyway when you're pregnant in your brain, that my mind got shocked into a state of trauma. And every moment of my life, I was walking around like this, really convinced that something really bad was going to happen. And along the years after my mom died, a lot of bad things happened. I've helped over 10 really close friends bury their parents. I'm now the person that everyone in my life comes to for grief or trauma support. It's become my ministry. that used to be just in quiet and very private, but it's always been my lot. I know that God didn't do this to me. He didn't kill my mom, but we live in a world full of sin and bad stuff, and we drive around on concrete roads in objects made of steel with rubber tires going at 80 miles an hour. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't control everything, but what I can control is now understanding that it wasn't my fault. Wasn't my fault. Nothing that happened to me was my fault. But what I got out of the strength of fighting and understanding that everyone's life is worth living and joy is for everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm Joya Tang.
There you go. We got it. Full circle.
Pow, pow, pow. Joy is for me. It's for you. It's for every person that's really hurting. And so when somebody looks at me and says, it's never going to be okay, I can remember what it felt like to lay on the floor of that emergency room that night and scream, no. Like, my brother found out my mom was dead because he walked into the hospital and heard my voice screaming, no, 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 no. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I mean, when I got up off the ground, there were 5 doctors and nurses around me because I was 60 pounds into my pregnancy, and it was bad. And it almost broke me. But here's the thing. Not only did it not break me, it made me. So my faith became very strong. And TikTok was just an accidental ha-ha that turned into an opportunity to look at a lot of people and say, hey, your story's not over. And I know what it's like to lay on the ground and sincerely believe that you can't and really not want to, but to know you have to. And that sometimes surviving is thriving. Because what it took for you to survive was a lot. And I think that's discounted as a whole. Luckily you and I and my children will grow up in a world where there won't be such a stigma on mental health, where as children we can help them with coping mechanisms and tools, and to look at people and help them understand that trauma isn't just something that happens to a war vet. It happens to a lot of people, and I think it's very misunderstood. And so part of my blessing has been just the people that have said, oh my gosh, I'm not okay. I think I've got what you've got. And if the only thing I do is give one person what Alicia gave to me when she looked at me and said, you're not broken and there's hope for you. You're in trauma. You're afraid. Let me find you some help. That changed my life. As did you guys, when I finally got to the crossroads where as a kid, I was spunky, feisty, go-getting, crazy town, like, woo! And I had this fun-loving, amazing spirit, and then I lost it in my grief. And now I found that girl that you know what you gave to me? You reminded me how much I love music, and I always loved music, but I was in a place where I was in that music that was like letting me feel my stuff. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's like kind of angry and stuff, whatever. A lot of times like just worship music, whatever. But the fun I've had, even just last night, like the image of being at a high school dance. You know what I mean? Like, just all the things that were me, the kid in me, the 20-year-old in me, the girl that loved to dance and have a good time and remember that part of my life and feel joy. I found her again. But better than that, I took her and coupled it with all the strength that I have, because it's mine now and nobody gets to take it from me because it's mine. So the option of anyone, no matter what, in those moments, how do I feel when people on TikTok come on and insinuate that I'm having inappropriate relationships with the dude that I'm clearly friends with? I'm just like, that stuff is easy. I'm like, y'all need to get a life. Like, that's just dumb. Like, if you paid any attention to what I was doing, you would know very quickly. I have a husband. I love him. I have a family, you know, all of those things. But I'm legitimately on a live interview. It's okay. I love you. I've got 3 kids and an extra one inside because my niece is here.
Nice.
But what hurts me the most is when the only thing that really hurts me, if I'm honest, is when someone questions my integrity.
Yes.
Because I've fought so hard to where I've gotten to get here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good, because every time that happens, I have to ask myself, who are you?
Right.
I know who I am. Why are you doing what you're doing? I know why I'm doing it. I know my heart. I don't have to question that, because I know me, and more importantly, I love me.
Right.
And that has given me, that's why I'm so overwhelmed by the fact that there are 65,000 people who
it's one of those things that you're at a loss for it. I know I'm at a loss for words most of the time, because like I can't, I sit there and I'm like, I can't believe that people are so sweet and so kind
and they love you
and so
so
supportive, you know. And the more kindness that I see from people like you and from my other, you know, friends and my other followers and all that, the easier it actually becomes for me to like swipe the other BS to the side, you know, because I know what I'm doing this for. And you know, hearing your story, like I had no idea. I had no idea. But like hearing that makes it all make sense, you know, as to why you are such an incredibly beautiful person and why you do what you do. And I told you this on your live, you know, a couple days ago, and I will reiterate it till the end of my days. But you know, I hope TikTok isn't banned, because that would, I know, because that would mean that it would be a little bit like, well, yes, there are other platforms, sure, of course, but like that would mean that it would be a little bit more difficult to see people like you, to see you specifically, knowing your story, knowing why you do what you do, and why you're so damn good at it. And I told you this before, what makes it great, Faith, is that you are genuine. You are genuine, because there's a lot of people out there that, you know, put up like good vibe videos, and it's great, right? But sometimes I can kind of see through it. Like I see what you're trying to do here. You're pushing your coaching course or something like that. Like you're like I see what you're trying to do here, and I get it. It's like everything. It's a business. I understand. But like what I love about you is that you are just so genuine. Like at the end of the day, you just want to make somebody's day a little bit better. Maybe impact them on a small way. Maybe impact them in a major way. It's different for each person that watches it. But I always enjoy your stuff, because it's, even without knowing the story that you just told me, I knew that there had to be something behind it, because it's just too real. When you compliment people and when you go out of your way to do things that like nobody's asking you to do it, you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart. And like I can see that, and other people see that, which is why I have no reason to believe that you will not continue to grow, because people need that right now. Because there's so much negativity, there's so much uncertainty, there's so much just anger and fear. And it's so nice to be able to come on to a platform and see you being kind and nice and genuine. Because believe it or not, Faith, while there is a lot of good vibe stuff out there, you are a rare commodity. And that is so beautiful to watch and learn from. And I can't help but just say how admirable you are. I am so thankful to have you in my life, and I cannot wait until the day that I can just come up and give you a big old hug, and that we can sit, like on your porch and just like reminisce about the days
hang out
before.
with your plant?
Yes, exactly. Hang out with my plant, and we could sit and reminisce about the days when TikTok was an app, before it gets banned. I'm kidding. I don't think it's gonna happen. That's just me. That's just me. I don't think it's gonna happen. But I can't wait for those days.
Speak life on that. TikTok is not getting banned.
I really don't think it's gonna happen. To be completely
honest. Words have wings. I
know. So, Faith, I have no words. You're my friend. You're my friend.
I'm thankful for you, man.
And,
I can tell your vibe was good. My pastor tells me I have the spiritual gift of discernment. That's what he says to me. So, as he blasted my TikToks on his sermon last week,
he did not.
I had watched another service.
Yeah.
Friend that had asked me to, which has been the weird beauty of this. Like, I always watch my church, but then every once in a while we'll watch somebody else. And so I hadn't gone back and watched the sermon. And when I did, he was talking about faith, not about me, but about unshakable faith. Right. Sure. And then he's like, because my brother-in-law was diagnosed with cancer 2 weeks ago. My niece is died right now. I'm taking care of her. I'm actually, if you want to pray for me today, that'd be awesome, because I have to go and make the drive. I have to go to the place where my mom died today. Oh, wow. I had to do it Wednesday. I accidentally pulled out of the parking lot that she pulled out of and didn't know, and looked up and saw the store, and I was like, oh, that was where Mom pulled out. And I drove her last journey on Wednesday, and it almost broke me. And I have to go do it again today. And honestly, I was not okay today. Yeah. I cried for 2 hours this morning. Collectively, over the past 4 days, I've probably cried for like 9 hours. Like, I don't even know where the tears are coming from anymore. And they're giant tears. It's hilarious. Yeah. They're like the biggest tears you've ever seen. And like, one of them fell on the table yesterday, and it was like the size of a quarter. I'm not kidding. And
was it just like bump?
It was like plop. I was like, crap, what is this? Yeah. And I almost didn't have the strength. And I thought about it. I was like, can I do this? I want to talk to Kai. Like, I really wanted. I was excited. And I was like, I can do this. And now I can see, like, God used you. You didn't go live last night for no reason, spontaneously. You did that. So this was all supposed to be because God used you to give me the strength to keep going today. Because I'll be honest, I didn't have it. And I got on my bare feet and prayed, Lord, whatever it is you want me to do for you today, I'm going to need the hands and feet of Jesus to come to me today, because I'm tired. And I've been putting out a lot, Kai, like a lot. The output has far exceeded the input. And it was pretty close to breaking me. Like this close. Not permanently, but for a temporary moment, because I will never go back to that place. I know what it's like to live there. It is never a decision I will make again. Make no mistake, I will be okay. But it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And I was questioning, because it's hard for me when I am the CEO of KJB, and my thing is do you know how many TikToks I almost made to just be honest with people and be like, y'all, I'm in a weird spot. And I couldn't even I was like, I didn't know what to even put out there. It was like, what do I do? What do I do with myself today? And you were my gift. Like, I'll be really honest. You were a profound gift today that was sent to me, I believe, by a God that really loves me. The same way I think TikTok was. And that's what I told my pastor. I was like, I have had more conversations and more relationships with people that I would have never had the opportunity to have a relationship with. And they've said to me, hey, I've heard you talk about Jesus. And I had a conversation with somebody, and she said, I heard you talk about Jesus. And for a second, I was a little bit taken back. And then I went to your page and I checked you out, and I was like, oh, she seems authentic. And then I heard you talk a little bit more, and you didn't say anything about him, but you were still the same. And then I was like, maybe she's for real, you know? And I was like, if my only purpose is just, I'm not an evangelist, I'm not a preacher, that's not what I'm saying, right? But if anybody looks at me and says, oh my gosh, why do you love people so much? And I get the chance to look at them and say, because Jesus told me to, and because I love him, and because, so that means I love everyone, because that's what the greatest commandment was. He said it. Love the Lord God with all your heart and all your soul, and then turn around and love people the same way. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I know I'm going to catch a lot of crap for it, because it is the way of the world. But, you know, it's people like you and these friendships and these gifts. And I say it too, if the app went down tomorrow and the only thing I did was walk away from the telephone numbers of people I've actually given my number to, it's fine. It's okay.
Yes.
Because that gift, it's the greatest, you know? Although I don't want it to end, and I want to make all the other friends, you know? But
you are a joy. You are just pure joy. And like I'm just I don't have any words. I'm just thankful. You know, like those times when you're just like, just thank you. You know, that's all you can say is thank you.
Saturday Night Live, or do you remember this one? I'm getting verklempt.
Yes. Yes. Talk amongst yourselves.
So this is what I said to Shane last week, because we were talking about it, and I was like, liquid Shano, neither liquid nor a Shano. Discuss.
I do. Have you seen my Shane impression, my liquid Shano impression?
No. But I'm going to have, you got to get your coffee mug. Oh, gosh, we got to tag. I just said we got to tag like this is on TikTok, and I can just press the button and tag somebody.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. I hope that you're having a fantastic day. Do me a favor. Tag all of your friends. Let them know how much you love them. Tag all of them in this post. I love you. Have a good day. My voice is deep. Liquid Shano. And scene. And
that's all you got. Can you imagine just opening your mouth and the only thing you have to do is just talk and excellence? I told him that he should do this thing where people just start sending. I want to send him a list of all the things I say to my kids repetitively, and I'm going to be like,
just play. Yes, because his voice is it's just velvety smooth,
like
it's just beautiful. And like I tell him, I'm like, I do my impression of you all the time, but like, just know it's out of pure jealousy. I hope you know that.
This is the sincerest form of flattery, okay?
Yes.
Isn't that what they say? Mockery is the most sincere form of flattery.
It is all pure jealousy, because like he'll be on like Barry White. Meanwhile, I'll come on like, good vibes, everybody. Like
I'm like, hi everyone, it's Saturday Half Pint. I mean, I'm like I get excited and get. Do you ever replay your TikTok videos and you're like, do I sound like that? Is that me?
All the time. All the time. Especially when I'm editing them. And I'm like, why do I sound like this? Why do I sound like this? I sound so weird. This is not like, I don't sound like this.
Weird things happen to my mouth right before I start talking. And I'm like, is that, no, how close can I get to not having that in there with my words?
I know. And I'm like, let me make sure I get the right angle. Let me get the right angle. You know, like, I know if TikTok and Instagram taught me anything, it's which angle to take a picture and then to shoot a video.
What about mirror mode, man?
Oh, thank God for mirror mode, because I am ugly.
Not when your face is as non-symmetrical as mine is.
I'm not symmetrical at all. At all.
I look like I can't even look at myself. I'm like, that girl? That girl?
Oh,
and then my niece was like, that's the way we see you. I was like, that's not cool. That's the way I look like.
Not, like, I don't even want to talk about it. I feel so ugly. So ugly.
What
when I'm
is
like,
that?
when it's the normal way, I was like, no, mirror mode, get that out of here.
Give it a
Oh
go.
my God, I can't. I love you to death, Faith, and I'm so thankful that we got to sit and talk today. Thank you for opening up and telling your story. And I mean, we're you and I and Joe and Yvette, all of us, we're all growing together on this app, and I think we should have our own hype house, like all the young ones. We'll get our own hype house.
Except it's got to be like, we got to teach these kids how to be authentic and like to engage and that every name is a person.
Yep.
And that the word follower, doesn't it make you just like,
I wish it was just friends. Like these are my friends.
friends.
I rarely call them my followers. I know Joe calls them the Atang Gang. I call my team the Vibers. I don't like calling them followers.
KJB crew. I named mine.
Yeah.
We're gonna be the KJB crew. So we're gonna be the KJB crew because I can't.
Yeah, I don't like follow because it makes me. I feel like it puts me on like a pedestal, and I'm like, I'm not. Yeah. That's not me. I'm not like I could have 50 followers and I'd still be just as happy.
How weird is it sometimes when you get like a random message or you respond to a comment and somebody goes, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you responded!" Or
yes,
and you're
all the time, and I'm like, wait, why wouldn't I respond? I don't understand. But people say that all the time, like, because they'll be like, hey, I just wanted to I know you get a lot of messages, but I just want to let you know that I really like your smile or something like that, and I'll be like, oh, thanks, and they'll be like, what? You saw my message? I'm like, yeah, of course I saw your message. Why would I not respond?
But it's like that's the part that's weirded me out the most. I'm like, I don't understand.
I don't understand. I can't. Well, Faith, I love you to death, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit with me and to talk with me, and I honestly cannot wait. I cannot wait until the day that we can all just hang out and make TikToks together. Dang it.
Hey, I hope you have an iPhone. Do you have an iPhone?
Do I have? Yeah, I do. Yes.
All right, so that means we can actually I like to FaceTime people when I talk to them, so I can actually look at their faces. You know?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm in.
You know, you can do group FaceTime calls.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my friend taught me yesterday. I know. We need to get. Yeah, we're gonna make it happen. And
works for me.
I just want to say one thing. I think it's really funny that in the beginning, I didn't tell you. I didn't laugh out loud when you were like, "We'll talk for 20 or 30 minutes," and I was like, "Okay."
I know. And what's funny is that I actually, while you were talking at one point, I actually texted my friend because technically speaking, I'm supposed to be interviewing him right now. No, you're fine. You're fine. No, you're perfectly fine. I texted him.
Let me go first.
No, you're fine. Because as you were talking, I was like slyly just like.
I saw you.
Him. Yeah.
I saw it. I pick up on everything, and I was like, he's either like pressing and he's like, yeah, this is going on longer than I thought.
all I wrote was 12:15, and then they wrote back a thumbs up. So
well, hey, you know what? May the force what is that Star Wars? May the force be with you?
Yeah, may the force be with you.
Tom would love that. Shout out to Star Wars Tom. May the force be with you today. And you made my day. So thank you for giving me the strength to go do what I got to go do right now. That was.
I'm sending you nothing but the love and good vibes and positive energy, and you obviously will get through this because you are a fighter. You always have been. You always will be. And thank you. Honestly, you're great. You're just great. To everybody else, if you enjoyed this, be sure to follow my friend over here, Faith. Faith, tell them what your screen name is again.
Gotta have Faith MC.
Yes, and they're going to be up there, down there, so you guys can go follow her on the TikTok. You will not regret it, I promise you. And if you like me, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram and all the other stuff at The Vibe with Kai. You can also follow me on Snapchat and on TikTok at Kyrus Keenan, and visit my website, thevibewithkai.com.
Crazy on Snapchat, I hear, y'all. He gets crazy on Snapchat, I hear.
Birds out.
Jonathan is a whole different animal on Snapchat.
It's Snapchat and Instagram. Those are the ones that I'll take it up a notch.
You got. I mean, hey.
Oh my God. Well, Faith, thank you so much. Everybody else, thank you for watching, and as always, good vibes. We did it. We did
Dude,
it.